What's up, you guys? It's Matt here. So we need to talk AMC today, and I wanted to talk about specifically when will the squeeze happen? Because this is a question that I'm getting a lot, is when is this going to happen? Now, I don't really want to, I'm not going to give a specific date because I cannot predict this. Nobody can predict this, right? It's something that we talk about constantly, and the question keeps coming up. When is this going to happen? Some people are saying I'm getting tired of holding. Some people are saying, you know what? I'm holding no matter what, but I just want to know when this is going to happen. So before we get into this, I'm going to break down the price action, what happened today, also the Ortex data, Fintel data, things like that, and then I'll talk about will this happen and when this will happen, all that other type of stuff. So before we get started, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I've noticed that there's 80% of people that are not subscribed. You're watching my content, but you're not subscribed. So hit that subscribe button if you can. There's a couple of people that have called it out in the comment section and said, I was one of those people that I've watched for a year and I wasn't subscribed. So if you are one of those people, hit the subscribe button. It does help out my channel a lot, and the growth and, reaching other people and all that stuff so that we can continue to make these type of videos. We're going to get into this. So AMC, what happened today? We'll break this down, then we'll get into everything else. What did happen today? We did see a large increase right from the start. This is a 5-minute breakdown, so let's look at 1-minute breakdown. We could see that we did have a larger increase right from the start where it jumped up to about $38.70. It's looking like it's really resisting at that $39 level, not wanting to break 40. Obviously the buy pressure wants it to break 40, but the shorting pressure does not. So it had not just a regular retracement, not just a regular pullback. No, it pulled all the way back to lower than previous lows, all the way down to about 36.50. After seeing that shorting pressure that came down, because no way in hell this was selling, after seeing that shorting pressure, we started to see a little bit of an increase, a staggered increase, to where we saw some shorting pressure, some buying pressure, some covering pressure, some things like that. We had about 57 million shares worth of volume, so we know we had a decent amount of volume going through. Definitely different crossovers, seeing a bunch of different crossovers of the 15 moving average to the 200 EMA, crossing below it, crossing above it, crossing below it again, crossing above it, crossing below, above, below, basically, just fluctuating. The price action was fluctuating. You can see that did get to a high at this point at $37.89, resisting at around $38, decreasing back down to $36.60, increasing up past this previous level. I wouldn't say it's a level of resistance, but technically, if you're looking at it as a whole, with these 2 points, it's level of resistance. But when it hit this point, it was not just a level of resistance. It did break above it, so that was a good sign. But then did fall right back down when it did break above it just slightly. But then as you started to see this point here, it basically got right to that point at 37.89. And then through the rest of the day, it started to decrease, create lower lows, lower highs, all this other stuff that we didn't really want to see. Good thing is we did see a little bit of a recovery, at the end of the day, just a little bit, right here, right? We saw this little bit of a recovery. The only thing is that it was followed by more downward pressure to where we finished at about 1% down, 1.64% down. And now in the after hours market, we're up about 0.25%. The high today was $37.32. The open price was $37.32. The high price was around $38.70, and the low price was around $36.49. Again, the volume that we did see was about 57.53 million shares. It could actually increase from there. We're starting to see the percentage level increase from in the after hours market. I'm still holding my 900 shares. It's not going anywhere. I'm sitting on that. Well, that's what the price action did today. We understand that there's shorting pressure, there's buying pressure. We've seen a lot of fluctuation today. Definitely a dream for day traders if they wanted to make this move from 36 to about 38. It's always a great move to be able to see that type of stuff. However, I'm not day trading it. I'm a normal day trader, and I'm not day trading it. I'm sitting on this knowing what this can be, because the process or the plan is to hold. That's what it's all about. In my opinion, I'm going to hold, and my strategy I'm going to hold. This is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to do anything. Now, let's get into the Ortex data and Fintel data. So here we're going to look at this. We're going to see the change in short interest being around negative 1.16%, showing that they returned around 2.25 million shares, borrowed around 1 million shares. We're looking at an estimated short interest of 91 million shares, and the short interest of free float is around 18%. The shares on loan is around 105 million, and we're looking at utilization of 90.49. Now, let's look at the Fintel data. Now, Fintel data does not show us what happened today, but it did show us what happened yesterday. They still shorted around 46%, even though we did see a positive day, almost 47%. And that's around 25.5 million shares out of the 54.3 million FINRA volume shares. So they were shorting quite a bit in that day. And this is something that really doesn't line up with me. Someone asked me if this was accumulated, if this did accumulate over time, and basically saying that, the day before we had 25 million shares, and now today we have 25.5 instead of 25.6, and the day before that we had 19. And that makes sense to think of it that way, but it really doesn't make sense for the total volume to show, the short interest ratio, the short volume ratio, basically saying that they shorted 46% on that day. That doesn't make sense. So unless they had some sort of day to where, or let's say had some sort of feature or calculation to where they have the accumulated divided by the amount of volume that we did see in the day, then that would be a different story, but that's not the case. They're shorting 25 million shares in the last 2 days, each in the last 2 days, average. So that's the way that I take it. Now, what we need to talk about here today is talking about when the squeeze will happen, because this is a question that I get all the time, is when the squeeze will happen. Well, to tell you the truth, the absolute truth is that I don't know when it will happen. Does anyone know when it will happen? No. The only people that know when it will happen are the people that are preventing the squeeze. The hedge funds, the institutions, maybe, you probably have some sort of, partnership or agreement between them, government as well. They're not allowing, actual legal action to take place when it comes to them doing illegal things. But the only people that know are really the hedge funds. If the hedge funds give up, they accept a loss, then what's going to happen is we're going to see them cover everything, and that's when we'll see the squeeze actually happen. Now, when it comes to the point to where they have no more firepower, that's when we will see that the squeeze will happen as well. So there's definitely some variables there to say when the squeeze will happen. No one can predict this. No one can say, we're seeing a gamma squeeze, we're seeing the main squeeze, we're seeing a mini squeeze, we're seeing a fake squeeze. Nobody can predict this. A bunch of people said we were seeing a fake squeeze today, and that just obviously is not true because it didn't happen, right? And we can always sit here and call out all of these different things, but it's just getting people worried about certain things. I sit here and just play it like I do the old rotisserie chicken commercials. You set it and forget it. That's really all I'm doing. I'm setting the 900 shares and I'm forgetting it until obviously we see it take off. I'm not even invested in AMC. That's the way that I'm looking at it. I'm not invested in AMC. That's sitting there and I don't even see anything right there where it says 900. All I see is zero. I don't see any shares there. I'm not even worried. There's nothing invested. None of my money that's invested in there. I don't know what's going on there. So that's the way you should look at it, is the fact that, and this is not financial advice. It's merely just my opinion. I mean, the way that I look at it is everything that I have there is gravy. Everything right there is absolute gravy. And I don't really have any actual money invested. Do you know what I mean? Because I took out my initial investment and now I have 900 shares. All of that, all gravy, all icing on the cake. Don't have to worry about anything else. That's the way that I'm looking at it. But again, to go back to when the squeeze will happen, the squeeze could happen in the next, 2 months. It could happen in the next 2 weeks. It could happen in the next year. We've come to realize that when hedge funds and people with money are greedy, they don't really give up, so easily. They're going to let it, they're going to draw it out for a long period of time. And, basically with time, you end up, losing some of the people that really needed the money or that just get nervous about losing that money. And we understand that. And the overall thought is diamond hands, but not everybody can be diamond hands. We understand that. It's just, if they start to, while they're waiting, they're going to wait to pull a lot of people out of these positions just with time. They have the money in order to factor in time. We don't really have enough money to pressure that time or minimize that time a little bit. That's the way that, I see it here. But again, the squeeze could happen at any time. It's not something there's a given day. It's not something that's basically saying it's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen the next day. You can't predict it. So that's the way that I feel about it. Let me know how you feel and where we stand. But guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Again, if you're not subscribed and you've been watching for a while, go ahead and hit that subscribe button with post notifications. I know some people aren't getting notified, but still hit the notification bell. Maybe they'll find a way to notify you someday, somehow. But guys, that's my video. I'm going to get out of here. Make sure you check out some of my other channels as well. I'm creating a bunch of new content. So definitely check it out. But I'm going to get out of here and I'll catch you guys in the next video.